All right, good morning, everybody. We'll go ahead and call the Joint Money Committee's Subcommittee on Public Safety, Natural Resources, and Transportation to order. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Assemblywoman Anderson. Assemblywoman Brown May. Assemblywoman Dickman. Assemblywoman Gorlow. Assemblyman Hafen. Senator Goycochea. Senator Wen. Assemblyman Watts. Chair Harris.
Here, please mark Assemblyman Hafen present as he arrives. We have 8 budgets on our agenda today, all from the Department of Wildlife. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to fiscal staff to walk us through the closing document.
Thank you, Chair. Nicolette Johnston, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division for the record. Budget account 4460 is the Director's Office. There are two major closing issues. The first major closing issue is 3 new accounting assistant positions. The Governor recommends transfers of sportsman's revenue of $165,977 in FY 2024 and $198,173 in FY 2025 for the personnel and associated operating costs of the 3 new accounting assistant positions in the Director's Office to support accounting and contract fiscal duties. The recommendation for 1 new accounting assistant 4 and 2 new accounting assistant 3 positions would provide additional support to the Director's Office due to increased workload with the Fiscal Services Unit. The department indicates federal grant awards increased over the past 5 years from a total of $27.7 million in FY 2018 to $51.1 million in FY 2022. A brief description of the duties of responsibilities for each of these new accounting assistant positions are listed below. During the agency request phase of the budget process, the Director's Office requested 11 new positions and 5 position reclassifications. Supporting documentation provided during the agency request phase indicated the positions were needed due to the anticipated receipt of federal funds through the Recovering America's Wildlife Act, which would have provided the department with approximately $24 million in additional funding annually. However, the Recovering America's Wildlife Act legislation was ultimately not approved by Congress prior to the Governor's recommended budget being published. During the March 16th budget hearing, the department indicated that the 3 accounting assistant positions would help facilitate the processing of additional grant funds. The department testified that the accounting assistant 4 would split duties with the existing accounting 4 position, and that the 1 accounting assistant position would assist with contracts and the other accounting assistant position would assist with processing payments. The department confirmed that the recommendation for the 3 accounting assistant positions is due to the increased workload and not anticipated workload associated with the federal Recovering America's Wildlife Act, which has still not been approved by Congress. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of transfers of sportsman's revenue of $165,977 in FY 2024 and $198,173 in FY 2025 for 3 new accounting assistant positions to support the Fiscal Services Unit due to an increase of federal grant awards as recommended by the Governor?
Thank you. Committee members, any questions on the accounting positions? Okay, not seeing any. I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I move to recommend approval of transfers of sportsman's revenue of $165,977 in fiscal year 2024 and $198,173 in fiscal year 2025 for 3 new accounting assistant positions to support the Fiscal Services Unit due to an increase in federal grant awards as recommended by the Governor.
All right, we got a first from Chair Watts, a second from Senator Wen. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Chair. Nicolette Johnston. The second major closing issue is a new unclassified Deputy Director position. The Governor's Finance Office submitted Budget Amendment A2307544460 on March 3rd to add 1 new unclassified Deputy Director position for the Director's Office. The recommended personnel and associated operating costs for this new position total approximately $143,000 in FY 2024 and $174,000 in FY 2025 and would be funded through transfers of sportsman's revenue. The department indicates this position is necessary because of increasing demands to manage divisions, programs, resources, and operations. According to the department, programs such as lands, water, equipment, and facilities have seen a substantial increase in activity, thereby increasing the demands placed upon management. The department notes it manages over 150 buildings, 27 of which are employee residences, 30 maintained boating facilities, and 8 dams. The department also advises the recommended new deputy director position would also be responsible for providing oversight of the department's public records request. The department reports that coordination and reviews of the department's response to public records requests is time-consuming and does not permit sufficient time to address other important tasks in the director's office. During the March 16th budget hearing, the subcommittee discussed duties and responsibilities of this position. The department stated the new deputy director would be in charge of operations for engineering facilities and state lands and would have the title of Deputy Director of Operations. During the budget hearing, the department indicated that while responsibilities are currently being addressed by current leadership, that the addition of another deputy director would improve its management capabilities, and explained that the new deputy director position would assume duties from each of the existing deputy directors, including engineering projects and management of lands, wildlife management areas, and the restoration of rehabilitation programs. Additionally, the subcommittee inquired about tasks relating to public records requests. The subcommittee suggested that perhaps those duties would be more aligned with the duties of a public information officer position. The department provided follow-up information indicating the oversight of the department's public records requests would be a secondary duty and not a primary duty. The department further noted this work could not be assigned to existing PIO positions as these positions are already working at full capacity. In addition, the department explained that due to the sensitive nature of some of the public records requests, a deputy director and a deputy attorney general must review these requests. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of Budget Amendment A2307544460 to add one new unclassified deputy director position funded through transfers of sportsman's revenue of $143,743 in FY 2024 and $174,713 in FY 2025 as recommended by the governor?
Thank you. Committee members, any questions? All right, not seeing any, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I move to recommend approval of Budget Amendment A2307544460 to add one new unclassified deputy director position funded through transfers of sportsman revenue of $143,743 in fiscal year 2024 and $174,713 in fiscal year 2025 as recommended by the governor.
All right, we've got a motion from Chair Watts, a second from Senator Nguyen. Any discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Ms. Johnston.
Thank you, Chair. There are 4 other closing items. Fiscal staff recommends other closing items 1 through 4 be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Questions on the other closing items? Okay, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I move that other closing items 1 through 4 be closed as recommended by the governor and provide staff authority to make technical adjustments as necessary.
All right, we've got a motion from Chair Watts, second from Senator Nguyen. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you, Chair. Nicolette Johnston for the record. The next budget account is 4462, Conservation Education. There is one major closing issue, which is a marketing and outreach campaign. The governor recommends cost allocation reimbursements of $104,000 in each year of the 23-25 biennium to support the creation and delivery of a marketing and outreach campaign to attract potential new hunters and anglers to Nevada, as well as to increase public awareness and education pertaining to conservation, wildlife, and recreation. The department advises it needs to invest in targeted marketing efforts to grow its market share and to reach new user groups, as well as to emphasize the importance of wildlife conservation for the state's economy, culture, and quality of life. The campaigns and promotions would range from public education and wildlife conservation awareness with a variety of messaging delivered across Nevada and neighboring states. The department currently utilizes a variety of marketing methods to communicate with current and potential customers and to increase public awareness and education pertaining to conservation, wildlife, and recreation throughout the state, which includes both paid and free marketing methods. However, the department anticipates a professional marketing campaign would produce a better, broader impact for the public to understand wildlife and conservation efforts in Nevada and engage new audiences. The department confirmed that there is currently $63,500 budgeted for marketing in FY 2023. The governor's recommended budget includes $213,650 in each year of the 23-25 biennium for marketing. If this decision unit is approved, the total marketing budget for this budget account would be $317,650 in each year of the upcoming biennium. After the March 16th budget hearing, the department provided additional information on how the department measures the success of targeting marketing campaigns. The department indicated that depending on the goal of the marketing campaign, staff would measure license sales, a growth in the agency's social media following, link clicks and emails and social media posts, open rates on emails, and social media impressions and engagement. After the budget hearing, fiscal staff asked the department to explain how the $104,000 in each fiscal year would be allocated among the department's various programs. The department responded that funds would be used exclusively on marketing outreach campaigns that include promoting hunting, fishing, and boating, and educational campaigns such as chronic wasting disease and living with bears. While the Conservation Education Division helps to promote programs from all 7 divisions, much of the division's efforts are focused on the game, habitat, fisheries, and wildlife diversity divisions. The department further indicated that such campaigns have become increasingly expensive, and that while these efforts to keep marketing costs down have been effective comparatively, these campaigns are still quite expensive and additional funds are needed. During the budget hearing, the subcommittee asked the department how it determined the amount of $104,000 was sufficient for the marketing campaign, and the department testified that because it had previously contracted with 3 different vendors for marketing, the department used these costs as basis for the estimates for the upcoming biennium. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of cost allocation reimbursements totaling $104,000 in each year of the 23-25 biennium to fund a marketing and outreach campaign to attract potential new hunters and anglers to Nevada as recommended by the governor?
Committee members, any questions on the marketing and outreach campaign? Okay, not seeing any, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Chair. And before I make the motion, I just want to note in some of our follow-up information about the Bearwise program and some of the efforts that are going on in the Lake Tahoe region to provide bear-proof containers that, I'm totally in support of the marketing enhancement, and it's my hope that that provides with the increase in recruitment of folks getting hunting and fishing licenses and putting in for tags, I hope that we get a substantial return on that investment, and that allows us to take on some additional programs. But I do think that we're already seeing and are going to continue to see some significant issues with bears up in northern Nevada, and I hope that in the future that the department and the governor bring forward some budget proposals to address this, because I think more is going to need to be done. So with that said, I move to recommend approval of cost allocation reimbursements totaling $104,000 in each year of the 2023-25 biennium to fund a marketing and outreach campaign to attract potential new hunters and anglers to Nevada as recommended by the governor.
Got a motion from Chair Watts, a second from Senator Nguyen. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, Chair. Nicolette Johnston for the record. There is one other closing item. Fiscal staff recommends other closing item 1 be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Questions on the one other closing item? All right, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I move that other closing item 1 be closed as recommended by the governor and provide staff authority to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Got a motion from Chair Watts, a second from Senator Nguyen. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you, Chair. Nicolette Johnston for the record. The next budget account is 4463, Law Enforcement. There is one major closing issue, which is a funding increase for the boating safety outreach program. The governor recommends transfers of boating registration revenue in the amount of $68,324 in each year of the 23-25 biennium to restore and augment funding for the boating safety outreach program to increase boating safety awareness and promote boater education courses, sober boating, and the use of life jackets. This recommendation would address rising advertising costs as well as increase boating safety awareness. The department utilizes a multi-tiered approach for its boating safety education, marketing, and outreach campaigns, which include radio, television, streaming, video, digital, social media, and print. Of the total recommended increase of approximately $68,000 in each year. $29,000 in each year is recommended to restore boating safety, education, marketing, and outreach expenditure authority from the $83,000 included in the base budget in each year of the 23-25 biennium to the $113,000 per year funding level approved by the 2019 legislature for the 2019-21 biennium. The department states that the previously legislatively approved funding level of $113,000 in each year was inadvertently reduced during the budget build for the 21-23 biennial budget. The remaining $38,000 of the $68,000 in each fiscal year is recommended to augment funding for an expansion of the boating safety outreach program to include paddle sports, which would result in total annual funding for boating safety, education, marketing, and outreach activities of approximately $152,000 in each year of the upcoming biennium. The additional funding would be utilized to purchase equipment such as kayaks, paddles, and life jackets to launch a new paddle sport program, as well as to purchase promotional items for events, life jackets for the department's life jacket loaner stations statewide, and printing boating safety publications. The department notes ways to gauge success of the campaign is the number of boating education courses completed each year. As the department promotes boating education courses through marketing and outreach campaigns, it experienced an increase of nearly 200% in completion of boating education courses during the 2019-21 biennium. However, as a result of the funding reduction to the boating safety and education category for the 21-23 biennium, the department reduced boating safety education, marketing, and outreach campaigns, and as a result, completed boating education courses decreased by 45% during the 21-23 biennium. During the budget hearing, the department discussed the benefits of restoring the boating safety outreach program and indicated this is an area where it sees a significant impact to the general public as the department interacts with and is involved with anyone participating and recreating on the water. The department further stated its boat patrol saves drowning victims, responds to boat crashes, and works to minimize opportunities for boating accidents. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of transfers of boating registration revenue in the amount of $68,324 in each year of the 23-25 biennium to restore and augment funding for the boating safety outreach program as recommended by the governor?
Committee members, do we have any questions here? Okay, not seeing any, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you very much, Chair. I know I'm getting on my soapbox a little bit this morning as we finish closing out budgets. I just wanted to note that in some of the additional information that was provided about law enforcement in general in our materials that the public should have, the department's indicated that there are 54 employees in the law enforcement division. There's been very little change in the number of positions in that division over the last 10 years. Since 2017, there have been 2 position reclassifications, 1 new position, which replaced 2 seasonal positions, and 1 new equipment mechanic position. And that if fully staffed, the patrol areas for the department are 4,000 square miles per warden. And again, I know we had some conversation about this, and there's not a lot of agreement at this time. And again, I know that with some of the other pay increases we're looking at, hopefully we're going to be able to get our law enforcement fully staffed and improve retention so that we don't have to spend so much time training and can actually spend more time in the field. But this speaks to me again of the need for additional investment. And again, when you look at things like boating safety, that's saving lives. It's providing a benefit to everyone, not just to wildlife and to sportsmen through some of the game law enforcement. So again, I hope that we see in the next recommended budget proposals to make some gains in this area, because I think it's frankly past due. So with that, I will move to recommend approval of transfers of boating registration revenue in the amount of $68,324 in each year of the 2023-25 biennium to restore and augment funding for the boating safety outreach program as recommended by the governor.
Okay, we've got a motion from Chair Watts, a second from Senator Nguyen. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. There are 7 other closing items. Other closing item 6 is a 2-grade salary increase for 33 Game Warden 3 positions, which was considered and approved by the joint full committees in the closing hearing for the statewide decision units on May 1st. Other closing item 7 is Budget Amendment A232024463, which funds a 1-grade salary increase for 4 Game Warden 4 and 3 staff Game Warden positions. This recommendation was also considered and approved by the joint full committees in the closing hearing for the statewide decision unit on May 1st. Fiscal staff recommends other closing items 1 through 5 be closed as recommended by the governor, and other closing items 6 and 7 be closed consistent with the decision of the joint full committees in the closing hearing of the statewide decision units where other statewide compensation adjustments were considered. Fiscal staff requests authority to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Committee members, questions here? Okay, not seeing any, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Chair, and since my voice is going out, I'll just move that the other closing items be closed as read by staff and provide staff authority to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Okay, we got a motion from Chair Watts, a second from Senator Nguyen. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you, Chair. Nicolette Johnson for the record. The next budget account is 4465, Fisheries Management. There is one major closing issue, which is the refurbishment of the air coil cooling tower at the Mason Valley Fish Hatchery. The governor recommends a transfer of sportsman's revenue of $260,000 in FY 2024 to fund replacement parts to refurbish the existing air coil cooling tower structure at the Mason Valley Fish Hatchery. The tower is showing signs of wear and is in need of complete refurbishment and thorough cleaning to maintain the ideal water temperature to continue operations of the fish hatchery. Currently, the air coil cooling tower at the Mason Valley Fish Hatchery is in full operation. The tower was originally installed new in 1988 when the facility was originally constructed and was last refurbished in 2010. According to the department, the fish hatchery would remain in operation during the refurbishment, which is anticipated to begin July 1st, 2023. The department further advises that should funding for this refurbishment project not be approved, catastrophic failure of the air coil cooling tower in the near future would be likely, which would have a significant negative impact on more than 1 million fish housed in this facility, which would result in a loss of 40 to 45% of fish stocked for recreational fishing purposes in Nevada each year, and fish would not be able to be relocated to other hatchery facilities as they are at capacity. During the budget hearing, the subcommittee asked the department if they believed the air coil cooling tower project would be completed in FY 2024, and the department indicated that because they have experience with the process, that they are confident it would be completed in FY 2024. The department further stated that the cooling tower has 5 chambers and only 1 chamber would be shut down at a time. In addition, the subcommittee asked why the refurbishment of the air coil cooling tower at Mason Valley Fish Hatchery is recommended to be funded through this budget rather than as a capital improvement program project. In response, the department indicated this option had not been considered, and because these projects have historically been funded through this budget, the department continued this practice. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of a transfer of sportsman's revenue of $260,000 in FY 2024 to fund the refurbishment of the air coil cooling tower at the Mason Valley Fish Hatchery as recommended by the governor?
Thank you, Ms. Johnston. And before I accept a motion on this particular item, I do want to reiterate that this type of project should be included in CIP in the future, regardless of how it's been handled in the past. This particular body would like to see this moved into CIP where it should be, and that's just a note. With that, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I move to recommend approval of a transfer of sportsman revenue of $260,000 in fiscal year 2024 to fund the refurbishment of the air coil cooling tower at the Mason Valley Fish Hatchery as recommended by the governor.
All right, we've got a motion from Chair Watts, a second from Senator Nguyen. Any discussion on the motion? Assemblyman Hafen. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Johnston.
Thank you, Chair. In the Coronavirus State Fiscal Recovery Fund section, there is an update on the Lake Mead Fish Hatchery Water Supply Line project. According to the department, Phase 1 of the project is currently in process and is anticipated to be completed in early FY 2024. Upon completion of Phase 1, the department would begin Phase 2 of the project, which includes completion of final engineering designs and on-the-ground construction activities required to lay and connect the new water supply line from the Southern Nevada Water Authority facility to the Lake Mead Fish Hatchery. The department estimates a new water supply line to be operable with the hatchery receiving water by December 2024, and the hatchery would be able to start accepting and rearing fish in January 2025. Following the March 16th budget hearing, the department stated that there have been no expenditures of coronavirus state fiscal recovery funds in FY 2023, as this project is still currently in Phase 1, and coronavirus state fiscal recovery funds would be expended in Phase 2 of the project. The governor's recommended budget does not include any revenue or expenditure authority for coronavirus state fiscal recovery funds in the upcoming biennium. Therefore, fiscal staff recommends a technical adjustment to include revenue and expenditure authority of $2.3 million in FY 2024 and $779,875 in FY 2025 in coronavirus state fiscal recovery funds to align budgetary authority with the department's planned expenditures for this project in the upcoming biennium. Does the subcommittee wish to recommend approval of a technical adjustment to establish revenue and expenditure authority of coronavirus state fiscal recovery funds totaling $2.3 million in FY 2024 and $779,875 in FY 2025 to continue funding the Lake Mead Fish Hatchery water supply line project?
Members, any questions? Okay, Senator Goycochea.
Promise. Anyway, there was some discussion as we talk about, can you hear me now, Rochelle? Because I've been hearing you as well. So, but anyway, there was some discussion in the August meeting of IFC, remember, about whether these coronavirus actually met the guidelines, the Treasury guidelines. And so all I can say is let's make sure we get it spent, because I think it was a little bit gray even when we started whether piping water to fish really was really qualified. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments, I'll just go ahead and make the motion to recommend approval of a technical adjustment to establish revenue and expenditure authority of coronavirus state fiscal recovery funds totaling $2.3 million in fiscal year 2024 and $779,875 in fiscal year 2025 to continue funding the Lake Mead Fish Hatchery water supply line project. Let's get it done.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion from Chair Watts, a second from Senator Nguyen. Any discussion on the motion? Yeah? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Johnston.
Thank you, Chair. There are two other closing items. Fiscal staff recommends other closing items 1 and 2 be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Any discussion on the other closing items here? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I move that other closing items 1 and 2 be closed as recommended by the governor and provide staff authority to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Second.
We've got a motion from Chair Watts, a second from Senator Nguyen. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Johnston.
Thank you, Chair. Nicolette Johnson for the record. Page 19 starts the section of staff closed budgets. As a reminder, similar to previous biennia, staff closed budgets are those budgets with no significant major issues identified nor significant informational items. These budgets have not been previously heard by the subcommittee, and fiscal staff is responsible for developing recommendations for the closings of these budgets. Page 27 of the packet contains a summary page with a singular motion for these staff closed budgets. And page 19 begins the staff closed budget portion with budget account 4461, data and technology services. There are no major closing issues. There are 4 other closing items. Other closing item 4 is a technical adjustment to the base budget, and fiscal staff recommends a technical adjustment to add 1 IT professional position that was approved by the Interim Finance Committee at the August 17, 2022 meeting, but was erroneously excluded from the base budget. Closing recommendations for this budget and all subsequent budgets are included on the summary page in the closing packet. I'm happy to pause for questions or continue.
Questions? Okay, let's keep going.
Budget account 4464, game management. There are no major closing issues. There are 4 other closing items. Other closing item 4 is a base budget technical adjustment for an aviation insurance increase to increase transfers of sportsmen's revenue by $16,620 in each year of the upcoming biennium due to an increase in insurance costs. An annual cost of the aviation insurance totals approximately $139,000 in each year of the 23-25 biennium. Are there any questions?
Okay, not seeing any. Let's keep going.
Thank you, Chair. Budget account 4466, Diversity Division. There are no major closing issues, and there is 1 other closing item. Are there any questions?
Not seeing any. Let's move on to the last one.
Thank you, Chair. Budget account 4467, Habitat. There are no major closing issues, and there are 2 other closing items, and closing recommendations for this budget are included on the summary page in the closing packet. Are there any questions?
I see none.
Thank you, Chair. Nicolette Johnston. This takes us to the summary page on page 27. As previously noted, fiscal staff is responsible for developing closing recommendations for the following budgets. To assist with the closing, fiscal staff has identified the budgets that are recommended to be closed as recommended by the governor, along with the other identified technical adjustments that are recommended below. Fiscal staff recommends that the following budgets be closed as recommended by the governor with the technical adjustments noted and requests authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary. Budget account 4461, Wildlife, Data and Technology Services, including a technical adjustment to add 1 IT professional 2 position erroneously excluded from the base budget. Budget account 4464, Wildlife Game Management, including a technical adjustment to increase costs for aviation insurance. Budget account 4466, Wildlife Diversity Division, and 4467, Wildlife Habitat.
All right, committee members, last chance. Any questions here on this budget? Okay, not seeing any. I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the staff closed budgets be closed as read by staff and provide staff authority to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion from Chair Watts, a second from Senator Nguyen. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. That will conclude our closings, not just for today, but for the session. Let's go ahead and give ourselves and our staff a round of applause. Well done, everybody. It's not just my opinion, but I don't mind saying it. This is the most efficient subcommittee of the money committees, and that is that is mostly due to the great members that we have and our awesome staff keeping us prepared so that we could iron out any kinks well before we got to the committee room. And I very much appreciate all of their hard work and the very, very fine-tooth comb which they go through these budgets. These are things that none of us would ever catch without them. So thank you all so much, and I'll turn it over to Chair Watts.
Thanks, Chair Harris. I just want to echo that and say thank you to all of our staff and say thank you to all the members. I think we did a great job of vetting the large number of budget accounts and the diverse group of agencies that are within the jurisdiction of this subcommittee. But I also just wanted to say thank you to Chair Harris as well. It's been a pleasure co-chairing this subcommittee with you.
Thanks, buddy. Ditto. Okay, public comment. Anyone for public comment? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone in Las Vegas either. BPS, can we check the phones, please?
Thank you, Chair. We have no callers on the line for public comment at this time.
All right, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned. Enjoy the rest of your morning.